Shabbat Shalom. Welcome to Shabbat services here at Central Synagogue. I am Rabbi Dan Ross, joined by my dear colleague, Cantor Dan Mutlu, and by our extraordinary musicians led by Dave Strickland. We're so grateful to have them to lift our voices this morning, and by our amazing, amazing technical team who makes this service, with all of its intricacies, work so incredibly smoothly. The weather has been improving this week. We've felt the first blooming of spring and been able to go outside and really soak it up. And our hearts are also especially warmed this morning in our sanctuary, where we are joined by Madeline Pope and her family, who is becoming bat mitzvah this morning. Maddie, stand up and wave. Give everybody a nice wave. Let them know that you're here. Just wave up. Yeah, there you go. You did great. All right. You can have a seat. And we're also joined by a congregation to celebrate with you, Maddie, from around the world. We have folks from Buffalo, New York, Venezuela, Manalapan, Weston, and we want to say a special shout out to your grandfather, Papa Butch, who we know is watching with us this morning. And as we continue on preparing to celebrate you at the Torah service, we get warmed up with some song.
We'll continue with a special prayer for our souls, thanking God for restoring them in the morning so we can do this work together. We can continue to pray and be together as a community. Elohai, you can find it on page 78. Elohai, Elohai, Neshama, Shenatata bi Tehorai. Elohai, 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 Neshama, Shenatata bi Tehorai. Ata berata, ata yitzarta, ata nefachta bi, ve'ata meshamera, meshamra bekirbi. Elohai, Elohai, Neshama, Shenatata bi Tehorai. Elohai, 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 Neshama, Shenatata bi Now we turn to our call to worship. We're on page 108, and we'll ask you to rise. Baruch hu et Adonai hamevorach.
we continue with a blessing for creation at the bottom of page 111. You are praised who rolls out the rough, raw clay of the universe into delicate vessels of light. And from nothing at all, we could perceive in a world that has turned old a shimmering new creation right before our eyes, made this moment just for us. How much of life reveals your presence? How much Torah unfolds from each new flower, from each new wave that breaks upon the sea? You are praised who forms from the clay that cloaks our lives, the delicate vessels which contain our light.
Baruch Ata Adonai, Abocher B'amo Yisrael, Be'ahava. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto Leolam Va'ed. Ve'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha b'chol levavcha u'b'chol nafshecha u'b'chol meodecha v'hayu advarim ha'ele asher anochi mitzavecha hayom al levavecha v'shinatam levanecha v'dibarta bam v'shivtecha b'beitecha uvelechtecha b'derech uveshochbecha uvkumecha ukshartam lehot al yadecha v'hayu letotafot beineinecha uchtavtam al mezuzot beitecha ubisharecha leman tizkeru v'asitem et kol mitzvotai v'item kirushim lelohechem. Ani Adonai Elohechem, Asher hotzeiti etchem me'eretz Mitzrayim, liot lachem le'Elohim. Ani Adonai Elohechem. We are on page 122, our Song of Freedom, Michamocha. Michamocha ba'elim Adonai Michamocha nedar ba'kodesh Nora tehilo Oseh Tehilo, Oseh, Fele, Michamocha, ba'elim Adonai, Michamocha, nedar ba'kodesh.
We know that God listens to us when we sing, when we pray out loud, but at the same time, God pays attention to that still small voice within, the voice of the prayers that come from the deepest, most regions of our hearts. And so at this time, Cantor Mutlu is going to chant the invocation, Adonai Sfatai Tiftach, after which we will pause for a moment of silent prayer.
Adonai sifatai tiftach ufi yagi tehilatecha. Adonai, open my lips that my mouth may declare your praise. Ratzon imrei fi legion libi lefanecha Adonai tzuri Adonai
We've now arrived at this morning's main event, and we invite Maddie and her family up to the bima for the service reading of the Torah, where she will chant from the Torah and chant an aliyah for the first time as she becomes bat mitzvah this morning, and we're so proud of her. And Eli, her little brother, who she loves so dearly, is going to welcome us to the Torah service.
I don't know if it's on. The light of Torah shines forth from Zion. Adonai's teachings flow from Jerusalem. This scroll has nurtured our people from Sinai to today. It teaches us love and justice, hope and peace.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad, Echad Eloheinu, Gadol Adonenu, Kadosh Shemo, Gadlul Adonai iti. ונרוממה שמו יחדיו.
Maddie, you stand on this bima this morning here at Central Synagogue, but you do not stand alone. You, of course, stand with your loving family, surrounded by all of these people who are rooting for you this morning. But you also stand with generations upon generations upon generations of the Jewish people. I want you to turn around really quickly and face the ark. I want you to imagine those Torah scrolls and the ark. And then I want you to imagine that that ark goes back, bursting past Park Avenue, bursting past New Jersey, around the state of California too, all the way around the world, and all the way back in time, back to Mount Sinai, when the children of Israel gathered to receive the Torah that you take upon yourself this morning. They dreamed that one day you, Maddie Pope, would stand on the bima here at Central Synagogue, the next in the line of that great chain of transmission. And your family have been dreaming of that moment, of this moment, since before you were even born as well. And in recognition of your taking your place in the Jewish people and in the covenant this morning, your family has a very special gift that they want to give to you.
I'll go first. Madeline Claire, your first word was bless you at 9 months old, and you didn't stop talking for a second after that. We called you Chatty Maddie. Dad and I used to crack up when you'd be talking on a long car ride and fall asleep. When you woke up, several hours later, you would pick up exactly where you left off, mid-thought, not missing a beat. You're a quieter young woman now, but the same tenacious, precocious, independent, and capable girl you've always been. A strong mind and spirit, a unique sense of style, a sense of self beyond your years, truly considerate of others, and and kindness overflowing. These are exceptional qualities, and I find myself in awe of you sometimes. Being your mother and Eli's mother is my proudest achievement. You made me a mom and made us a family. And I've learned so much about myself and what I value most about my life from you. Dad and I are overwhelmed with pride today, but it is bittersweet for us, a reminder that our delicious baby is growing her wings. It's what children are supposed to do. You are well on your way. When the world shut down 1 year ago today and we began to discuss the possibilities around your bat mitzvah, true to form, you were adamant about wanting to move forward on this date regardless of what that looked like, and so we did. And while we weren't sure what condition the world would be in as you practiced Torah in preparation for today, as it turns out, the pandemic is moving towards a resolution, and we are so blessed to be reunited for the first time in a year with all of our extended family. Your determination and willingness to be flexible, not always the easiest thing for you, by the way, gave us all the gift of being together today in your honor. Shout out to Papa. We miss you so much and hope you have a speedy recovery. Madeline, our gift to you today on your bat mitzvah is a beautiful hand-woven talit. When I became a bat mitzvah in 1991, the opportunity to wear a talit on the bima was not offered to me. I'm so proud that you have this privilege today, 30 years later, and will hopefully be reminded of your Jewish values each time you wear it. Your bat mitzvah and this talit represent a great deal of progress in the Jewish community, and so we hope this gift reminds you to keep moving forward when life gets lifey at times, and it will. At the same time, we hope this talit reminds you where you come from. The fringes of the talit serve as a reminder of the commandments of the Torah, so we hope you are reminded that you belong to a great chain of love and tradition. This might feel like a great burden, but you'll notice that the talit is nice and light. It doesn't weigh you down. We hope you wear your Judaism with the same lightness. And while it may not have a storied past, today marks the first step on its journey into the future with you and the future generations of girls that will come after you in our family. In closing, I wanted to share these words written by the author Shakti Gawain. She writes, "People often wonder what they're going to be when they grow up. What is it that they are going to do? What is their true purpose? Each of us has a true purpose. When we follow our inner light, life is always fun, creative, and transformational. We make a contribution to the world just by being ourselves in every moment. Your inner light is shining bright, my love. Always remember that wherever your dreams may lead you, we will always be on the sidelines of your life, cheering you on. We love you so much.
That was beautiful.
Thank you.
I just want to add, Maddie, we love you so much. I'm so proud of you. Watching you this past year prepare for this without any prodding from your parents, as Mom said, is just one example of your strong-mindedness in applying yourself to things that are important to you. So enjoy your time to be celebrated with your family and your best friends. I know we've had to adapt one more thing in this crazy pandemic year, but you have done so with beauty, style, and grace.
Yay.
We have so many people on Facebook commenting about how beautiful this moment is as you put on this talit. What an incredible gift. What incredible words about an incredible young woman. And did I hear correctly that Maddie's first word was bless you? Is that right? From a sneeze? Or just like, that's amazing. It says so much. So Maddie is going to be chanting from the last Torah portion in the book of Exodus, and she's actually going to be completing the book of Exodus for us this morning. And as is customary in the Jewish community, we chant 3 words, chazak, chazak, v'nit chazek, after she finishes her 3rd aliyah, which means be strong, and let us be strengthened. And so as she goes through chanting each of her 3 aliyot this morning, and we hear the beautiful blessings offered by her family, let us keep building in strength as we move through the Torah service. So, Maddie, let's begin the Torah reading, and why don't you tell us what you're going to be reading this morning and who's coming up for your first aliyah?
My Torah portion is taken from Parshat Vayakel Pekudai from the book of Exodus, chapter 40, verses 28 to 38. For my first aliyah, I call upon my grandma and grandpa, Judy and Michael, and my nana, Nan.
Where does she go?
That one.
Baruch Adonai Hamvarach.
Baruch Adonai Hamarach Leolam Va'ed.
Baruch Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher bachar banu mikol ha'amim, v'natan lanu et Torato. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen.
Amen. Vayasem et masach hapetach lamishkan, ve'et mizbach halasam petach mishkan el hamoed, vaya'al alav et haolah ve'et hamincha, ka'asher tziva Adonai et Moshe. Vayasem et hakior bein ohel moed uvein hamizbeach, vayitein shama mayim lerochtzah.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher natan lanu Torat emet, chayei olam nata b'tocheinu. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen.
For my second aliyah, I call upon my mom and dad, Lisa and Brian.
Baruch Adonai Hamvarach.
Baruch Adonai Hamarach Leolam Va'ed.
Baruch Adonai Hamvarach Leolam Va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher bachar banu mikol ha'amim, v'natan lanu et Torato. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen.
Amen. V'rachatzu mimenu Moshe ve'Aharon ubanav et yedeihem ve'et ragleihem Bevalam el ohel moed. Uvkorvatam el hamizbeah yirchatzu kasher tziva Adonai et Moshe. Vayakem et hechatzer saviv lamishkan vel hamizbeah. Vayitain et masach sha'ar hechatzer. Vaychal Moshe et hamlacha.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher natan lanu Torah emet v'chayei olam nata b'tochenu. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen. Wonderfully done. You have gone through 2 aliyot, and now there's just 1 left. And so we're going to ask everybody to go back to their seats, except for you, Maddie, because this is your special moment. This is where we get to call you up to the Torah for the very first time. And that might sound confusing because you might say, well, I'm already at the Torah. And that's true, but we haven't called you up for the special blessing, for the Aliyah. And this is such a special moment because you could not have said this blessing at any other point before in your life except for this moment, because this is the moment that you become a bat mitzvah. And we're so proud. We acknowledge that chain that Rabbi Ross talked about, that chain that goes and stretches all the way back to Sinai. And we know that most recently, if it weren't for your parents, and their parents, that this Torah would not have gone to you. It would not have gotten to your hands, and we would not have been able to be privileged to be taught by you from it. So as we call you for the very first time by your Hebrew name, we acknowledge that your name comes from your ancestors. It comes from your great-grandmother, Betty. So we remember, too, her goodness and her kindness and her spirit as we call you up for the very first time as a bat mitzvah. Tamod, 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 habat mitzvah, Bela Rezel bat Shmuel v'Leah. And you can do the blessing before. Baruch Adonai Hambarach Leolam Va'ed.
Baruch Adonai Hambarach Leolam Va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bachar banu mikol ha'amim v'natan lanu et Torato. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen.
Vaychas Hanan et ohel moed uchvot Adonai malei et hamishkan. Velo yachol Moshe lavo el ohel moed ki shachan alav Hanan uchvot Adonai malei et hamishkan. Upe'elot Hanan mayal hamishkan yisu b'nei Yisrael bechol maseihem v'im lo yeleh Hanan v'lo yisu ad yom heloto ki anan Adonai al hamishkan yomam v'eish tihiyeh laila bo l'nei chol beit Yisrael
Bechol maseihem.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher natan lanu Torat emet v'chayei olam nata b'tochenu. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen. Chazak, chazak, v'nitchazek. Chazak, chazak, v'nitchazek.
Maddie, there are so many comments on Facebook about your beautiful, beautiful chanting this morning, and you have given us so, so much strength. And at this time, we're going to ask you to give that Torah a little roll up so that you can chant your Haftarah.
The Haftarah for this week is taken from the book of Kings. I will be reading from chapter 7, verse 51 through chapter 8, verse 4. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bahar b'neviim tovim v'ratzav v'divreihem hane'emarim be'emet. Baruch atah Adonai habocher b'Torah uv'Moshe avdo uv'Yisrael amo uv'nbiei hamet v'tzedek.
Amen.
ותשלם כל המלאכה אשר עשה המלך שלמה בית אדוני, ויבא שלמה את קודשי דוד אביו. את הכסף ואת הזהב ואת הכלים נתן באוצרות בית אדוני. אז יקל שלמה את זקני ישראל, את כל ראשי המטות, נשיאי האבות לבני ישראל, אל המלך שלמה ירושלים, להעלות את ארון ברית אדוני, מעיר דוד היא ציון. ויקהלו אל המלך שלמה כל איש ישראל בירח העיתונים, בחג הוא החודש השביעי. ויבואו כל זקני ישראל, ויישאו הכהנים את הארון, ויעלו את ארון אדוני ואת אוהל מועד ואת כל כלי הקודש אשר באוהל, ויעלו אותם הכהנים והלוויים. ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם, צור כל העולמים, צדיק בכל הדורות, האל הנאמן, האומר ועושה, המדבר ומקיים, שכל דבריו אמת וצדק. על התורה ועל העבודה ועל הנביאים ועל יום השבת הזה שנתת לנו אדוני אלוהינו, לקדושה ולמנוחה, לכבוד ולתפארת. על הכל אדוני אלוהינו אנחנו מודים לך ומברכים אותך, יתברך שמך בפי כל חי תמיד לעולם ועד. ברוך אתה אדוני
Baruch Baruch Shemo.
מקדש השבת.
Amen.
And Maddie, now that you have so beautifully chanted the words of our ancestors, their Torah, we invite you to offer your own words of Torah this morning.
Shabbat Shalom. Have you ever had a place that was important to you, like a sacred space? My Torah portion, Vayakel Pekudei, describes in elaborate detail the construction of the tabernacle, a sacred space to the Jews and the earthly dwelling place of God. God gives Moses and the Israelites very specific commands as to how the tabernacle should be designed. When the Israelites complete the task as instructed, God gives further commands as to when the tabernacle should be erected, on the first day of the first month. God also instructs Moses to anoint Aaron and his sons as lifelong priests. So, on the first day of the first month, as instructed, Moses finished the work on the tabernacle, and God's presence came to dwell there in the form of a cloud by day and fire by night. Based on a surface reading of my Torah portion, you might think that the physical attributes are what makes a space sacred. But what Vayakel Pekudei actually teaches us is that the sacred space is not actually defined by the physical area, but rather who and what is there with you. In terms of the tabernacle, both the children of Israel and God considered it sacred. The children of Israel felt honored to be with God in the tabernacle, and they felt protected by God in his many forms. The tabernacle is sacred to them because God's presence was with them in the room that they built from his directions. The tabernacle was also a sacred space to God. He considered it sacred because it was built by the children of Israel exactly as he instructed, for him to be able to enter and dwell there. To put it another way, both the builders and the architect of the building consider it their own. The builders put their hard work into it and sought approval from the architect, while the architect designed the building and gave the builders instructions to build it exactly as he envisioned. When preparing for today and thinking about what a sacred space means to me, I realized that today marks 1 year since this global COVID quarantine began. What a milestone. We've all gone through many ups and downs and had many hardships during this time, loss of life being the main one. But there have also been many silver linings and uplifting experiences which we will remember forever. Like when every New Yorker hung out their window together at 7 p.m. to support our essential workers, or how the majority of people have chosen to shelter in place when possible in support of their friends' and neighbors' health. I have obviously missed things about my old, normal life, which we may never go back to, but the necessity of living life this way has helped me to realize what is important to me. Reflecting on the connection between my Torah portion and our world today, I asked myself the question, what can the story of the tabernacle teach us about what sacred space means to us in the time of COVID? Spending time with my family and few friends in my COVID bubble has demonstrated that I am always in my sacred space when I am with the people who matter most to me, my family and my closest friends. My family always makes me feel safe, loved, and supported when I am with them, and that's how I think you should feel in a space that is sacred to you. My friends always make me laugh and feel happy, which are also two important values. I realize that for me, a sacred space doesn't necessarily have a physical location. It is wherever I am with the people who make me feel loved. I think that my Torah portion teaches us that the same is true for God and the children of Israel. The tabernacle is a sacred space for them because that is where they feel love for each other. As we continue our journey out of this pandemic, just as the children of Israel journey through the wilderness, may we find those sacred spaces along the way with the people we love. Wishing you all a very sweet Shabbat Shalom.
Wow. Maddie, wow. You have a lot of fans out there. So first you have Jen Benray, your tutor, who I know you're very close with. We have Ed Saslaw says, a great and important teaching. We have a Mazel Tov from Toby who says, this is beautiful to watch. Maddie is chanting so beautifully. Mazel Tov to all the popes and skirniks. And then Albert Benjamin says, the pandemic couldn't stop what is a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful bat mitzvah this morning. Maddie, your last name may be Pope, but I wouldn't be surprised if you became a rabbi someday. From the very first time I met you, and especially from the first time I heard that incredibly wise Devar Torah, where you just really get what it means to feel a sense of sanctity in your life, I said, the force is strong with this one. The force is so strong with you, and especially I want to direct, your parents said that your superpower is that you don't worry about what other people think, that you have this incredible self-esteem, this marvelous inner compass. You have uncommon wisdom, Maddie, and we are so blessed to be blessed by you. And of course, it's absolutely perfect. That's why I had to clarify that your first words were bless you. I mean, oh man, couldn't ask for better. And so what we're going to ask right now is for your family to come up and surround you with love right now as we offer you these traditional words of congratulations.
Simin tov, mazel tov, mazel tov, simin tov, mazel tov, mazel tov, simin tov, mazel tov, mazel tov, simin tov, yehi lanu, yehi lanu, yehi lanu, o lechol Yisrael, yehi lanu, o lechol Yisrael, yehi lanu, yehi lanu, o lechol Yisrael, yehi lanu, yehi lanu, o lechol Yisrael.
One now.
And we're going to ask you, after that exquisite dancing and all that joy, to return to your seats as we turn to Aleinu to begin our closing prayers on page 282.
עלינו לשבח לאדון הכל, לתת גדולה ליוצא בראשית, שלא עשנו כגויי הארצות, ולא שמנו כמשפחות האדמה, שלא שם חלקנו כהם, וגורלנו ככל המונם, ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד ושמו
thoughts now turn to those who are no longer with us in body, but who are eternally with us in spirit. And Maddie, your family is feeling the presence today of your great-grandfathers, Howard, Herbie, Nat, Lewis, and Murray, your great-grandmothers, Betty, Ruth, Clara, and Kay, your great-aunts, Sandy and Bess, and your great-uncle, Jack. The Central Synagogue community is mourning the passing in recent days of Cy Baum, husband of Judy, father of Andrew, Gary Fabian, Gerald Fengel, father of Cheryl, Brian, and Elisa, Pearl Hendler, mother of Susan Flom, Mark, Michelle, and Richard, Barbara Linhart, mother of Ted and Peter, Charles Lutke, stepfather of Peter Blum, Miriam Schaefer, mother of Leslie Perkins, Arlene Cuttisker Westreich, mother of Neil and Marjorie, and Renee Weiss, mother of Deborah Weiner, Jeffrey, and Cheryl. If you are in the period of Shiva, the first 7 days following the passing of someone dear to you, we invite you to rise at this time. If you are in the period of Shloshim, we invite you to rise. If you are in the period of Shana, we invite you to rise. And if you're observing a yard site this Shabbat, we invite you to rise. Zichronam livracha, may their memories always be for a blessing. We join together in the hallowed words of Mourner's Kaddish on page 294. Yitgadal v'yitgadash shemei rabbah, be'alma divrach yirutei v'yamlich malchutei, b'chayechon u'vyomechon uv'chayei d'chol beit Yisrael, ba'agala uv'zman kariv yimru amen. Yehei shmei rabbah mevarach le'olam olamei almaya, yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitramam v'yitnaseh, V'yitadar, v'yitaleh, v'yitalal, shmei kudusha brichu. Leila min kol birchata v'shirata, tushbechata v'nechemata, damiran be'alma v'imru amen. Yehei shlama rabba min shamaya, v'chayim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael, v'imru amen. Oseh shalom b'mramav, hu ya'aseh shalom, aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael, v'imru amen.
We're going to conclude with one last song, a song of joy, celebration, and light. And we're going to wish Maddie and family a hearty Mazel Tov as they go forth to this beautiful day together. Mazel Tov. La Yehudim hayta ora b'simcha b'sason b'ikar. Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom. Mazel tov, Maddie.
השכיבנו אדוני אלוהינו לשלום והעמידנו שומרנו לחיים השכיבנו אדוני אלוהינו לשלום והעמידנו שומרנו לחיים. Lay me down, God of peace, and raise me up to a world of living. Oh, safe from the storm, in the shelter of your shalom. Hashkivenu Adonai, Eloheinu leshalom, ve'hamidenu shomrenu l'chaim. If I could follow you and know all of your ways and wisdom, oh, you'd keep me safe, and I'd always praise your name. Hashkivenu Adonai, Eloheinu leshalom, ve'hamidenu shomrenu l'chaim. Hashkivenu Adonai, Eloheinu leshalom, ve'hamidenu shomrenu l'chaim. Shalom Rava Yisrael Amcha Al Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam Ki Ata Hu Melech Adon Adon Lechol Hashalom וטוב בעיניך לברך את עמך ישראל בכל עת ובכל שעה שעה בשלומך Shalom Rava Yisrael Amcha Al Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam Ki Ata Hu Melech Adon Adon Lechol
Shabbat, me make this day a song of praise to you. Rock me in your arms and guide my
Zimrat ya Vayeli Lishua Uzi Zimrat ya Vayeli Lishua Shabbat Shalom, everyone. Welcome to Shabbat services here at Central Synagogue. I am Rabbi Dan Ross, joined by my dear colleague, Cantor Dan Mutlu, by our extraordinary musical team, led by Dave Strickland, and by our amazing technical staff who make sure that this service, with all of its complexities and intricacies, runs absolutely seamlessly. It's been a little bit warmer this week, a little bit brighter outside, and it's warm and bright inside our sanctuary this morning because we are celebrating Julia Podoroysky and her family as Julia becomes bat mitzvah. Julia, stand up and give everybody a wave. Awesome, you're doing great. We are joined by a congregation from around the world to celebrate with you from Cincinnati, from California, and of course, from your parents' home of Argentina, and we're looking forward to seeing some of your family join us when we arrive at the Torah service. And as we continue on our way to arrive at your celebration of you, we get ourselves warmed up with some songs this morning. We'll continue with a prayer for our souls, thanking God for restoring them. And we're going to be on page 78. We'll sing Elohai Nishama. Elohai, Elohai, Neshama, Shenatata bi Tehorahi. Elohai, Elohai, Neshama, Shenatata bi Ata virata, ata yitzata, ata nefachta bi, ve'ata mishamra bekirbi. Elohai, Elohai, neshama, shenatata bi Tehorahi. We'll continue with our blessings and our prayers, and we will go to our call to worship. We're on page 108, and we'll ask you all to rise. Baruch hu את אדוני המבורך ברוך אדוני המבורך המבורך לעולם ועד המבורך המבורך לעולם ועד.
We continue with a prayer for creation at the bottom of page 111. You are praised who rolls out the rough, raw clay of the universe into delicate vessels of light. And from nothing at all, we could perceive in a world that has turned old a shimmering new creation right before our eyes, made this moment just for us. How much of life reveals your presence, how much Torah unfolds from each new flower, from each new wave that breaks upon the sea. You are praised who forms from the clay that cloaks our lives, the delicate vessels which contain our light.
ברוך אתה אדוני הבוחר בעמו ישראל באהבה שמע ישראל אדוני אלוהינו אדוני אחד ברוך שם כבוד מלכותו לעולם ועד ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודיך והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך ושיננתם לבניך ודיברת בם בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך ובשוכבך ובקומך וקשרתם להיות על ידיך והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם אני אדוני אלוהיכם אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים להיות לכם לאלוהים אני אדוני אלוהיכם. On page 122, our song of freedom. מי כמוך באלים אדוני מי כמוך נדע בקודש נורא תהילות עושה
Prayer invites God's presence to suffuse our spirits, God's will to prevail in our lives. Prayer may not bring water to parched fields, nor mend a broken bridge, nor rebuild a ruined city. But prayer can water an arid soul, mend a broken heart, rebuild a weakened will. In a moment, Keter Mutlu is going to chant Adonai Sfatai, and then we are going to pause for silent prayer.
Adonai Sefatai Tiftach Ufi Yagi Tehilatecha Adonai open my lips that my mouth may declare your Imrefi ve'yon libi lefanecha Adonai tzuri Adonai tzuri ve'goali ve'goali yiyu leratzu imrefi ve'yon libi lefanecha Adonai tzuri Adonai tzuri ve'goali
We've now arrived at the moment we've all been waiting for this morning. Julia, we invite you and your family to the Bima as we begin our service for the reading of Torah. Julia, you can kick us off.
Light of Torah shines forth from Zion. Adonai's teachings flow from Jerusalem. This scroll has nurtured our people from Sinai to today. It teaches us love and justice, hope and peace.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad, Echad Eloheinu, Gadol Adonenu, Kadosh Shemo. Gadlu Adonai iti. ונרוממה שמו יחדיו.
Julia, you stand on this bima here at Central Synagogue on the morning of your becoming bat mitzvah, but you do not stand alone. You stand first and foremost surrounded by your loving family, your parents and your brother. And you also stand with generations upon generations of the Jewish people. Now I want you to turn around and I want you to face the ark. Great, awesome. You're facing the ark, and I want you to imagine those Torah scrolls in that ark, and I want you to imagine that that ark bursts forth past Park Avenue, past the Hudson River, past New Jersey, and goes all the way back to Mount Sinai, where the children of Israel stood to receive the Torah scrolls that are in that ark. They dreamed that you, Julia, one day would stand on this bima and become bat mitzvah here at Central Synagogue, that you would take your place in the next great as the next great link in that chain of love and transmission of our sacred heritage, our sacred tradition. You can turn around now. And at this time, in recognition of your taking that link and you're taking upon the mantle of Torah upon yourself, your family has a very special gift that they want to give to you this morning.
Julia. We name you Julia after my dad and your grandfather Julio. Julia means joyful, and that's what you bring to everybody around you. I decided to conduct some research and talk to your friends, family, and teachers and ask them what they thought about you. And this is what they said. Your friends think that you're kind, caring, and always make sure everybody around you is happy. You're funny and never fail to put a smile on your friend's face. You make them feel safe and at home. Your teachers have always told me you're smart and hardworking. You push yourself to complete tasks by going beyond and above what is required. You have a strong work ethic, and your teachers always say it's a pleasure to have you in the class. Your cousins believe that your love and affection are so powerful that although they are 8,500 kilometers away in Argentina, you make them feel as though they are beside them. You're funny, smart, and empathic, and the best cousin in the world. Personally, what I think is that you're the best daughter in the world, and I could not have asked for something more beautiful as you are inside and out. I want to share some examples of the qualities that you bring that we see in you. When we go skiing with friends that are not as advanced as you are, you're always patient and caring. You make them feel safe on the mountain. You study so hard for this day and have demonstrated your dedication for this big moment. You call your grandmother in Argentina and talk with her for a long time, making her feel she's here with us. On a personal note, I love the post-its of love and encouragement you write to me so I can take to the office. They brighten my day, and I love when we go out to have our girls' time. I admire how you follow your own conviction and you're comfortable standing on your own. Your joy is so strong that makes everybody feel close. It is a privilege to be your mom, and I love you to the moon and back.
Julia, since the day you were born, you were always caring and nice to me. You are a great sister, a great friend, and a great mentor. I learn a lot from you every day, and this is why I love you. It's a pleasure to be your brother and be able to share this amazing day with you.
I'm very happy to be here today and to be able to celebrate Julia's bat mitzvah, especially given what is going on around the world with the pandemic. I want to express our gratitude to Rabbi Ross, Cantor Mutlu, Cantor Ruben, Karen, and clergy for helping Julia to prepare for this important day. Also, I want to say hello and thank our family and friends who are watching us from Argentina and from cities across the U.S. Hola, querida familia y amigos que están en Buenos Aires y en los Estados Unidos. Gracias por compartir con nosotros este hermoso momento. Ustedes son muy queridos e importantes para nosotros. Julia, you are our most precious jewel and have brought us joy since the day you were born. It is unbelievable how the time has flown by. It has been exciting to watch our little baby grow into the young woman you are today. Today, I'm proud to be able to share some examples of what an amazing and special person you are. You have always been very determined. Whatever you set your mind on, you were able to achieve it. You have always excelled academically. You were always very curious and liked to try new things, such as ballet, gymnastics, and martial arts. You became a great swimmer and a terrific skier. I have to confess, you are very good at everything you do. You have always been very artistic and have a special sensibility which you express so beautifully in your drawings, paintings, and sculptures. Your aesthetic eye and style makes Mom run to you for advice on what clothes to wear or how to decorate our home. I like cooking with you and trying out new recipes. Our dishes are getting tastier and looking more sophisticated. Today is a special date where you become a bat mitzvah, marking the passage to adulthood according to the Jewish traditions. You studied very hard for this moment, and we are very proud of you. And your Sede Gregorio, Grandpa Julio, Grandma Teresa, and Uncle Alejandro would have been too. We would like to give you this gift. We would like to give you this gift, the Torah that your Bobby Clara gave to me when you were born, and I'm going to borrow her dedication to me and adapt it for you. To my dear daughter Julia, I wish that the Torah illuminates your journey and guides you and your family in a life full of blessings. We wish your dreams to come true and wish you a long and exciting life with health and joy surrounded by your loved ones. This is our way of honoring the tradition of passing down the Torah from generation to generation, which we were unable to do today because of the current circumstances with the pandemic. I also love you to the moon and back. Te quiero mucho, 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 and you can always count on us.
What an extraordinary gift. Marcelo, you didn't get to pass that Torah scroll, as you said, but you literally did get to hand Julia a Torah this morning, and so that is just the most incredible. And what beautiful words about your amazing, amazing daughter. And at this time, Julia, we are going to begin the Torah reading, so why don't you tell us what you're going to be reading this morning and call upon your first aliyah.
My Torah portion is taken from Parshat Vayikil Pekudei from the book of Exodus, chapter 35, verses 30 through chapter 36, verse 3. For my first aliyah, I call upon my uncle Alejandro, my aunt Claudia, and my cousins Malena and Manuel.
Baruch Adonai Hamarach Le'olam Va'ed.
Baruch Adonai Hamarach Le'olam Va'ed. Baruch Ata Adonai Eloheinu Melech Haolam Asher Bachar banu mikol ha'amim ונתן לנו את תורתו. Baruch Ata Adonai Noten HaTorah.
Amen.
Amen. Vayomer Moshe Bnei Israel Re'u Kara Adonai B'Shem B'Tzalel Ben Huri Ben Hur L'matei Yehuda Vayimalei Oto Ruach Elohim B'Chochma B'Tzvuna Uvdat Uvchol Melacha V'Elav Shov Machashavot La'asot B'Zahav Uva'Kesef
Uvanechoshet.
ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם אשר נתן לנו תורת אמת ואשר עולם נתן בתוכנו. ברוך אתה אדוני נותן התורה.
Amen.
Amen. Uvacharoshet event lemalot uvacharoshet et laasot bechol melechet machashavet uchorot Natan belibo ve'aholiav ben Ahisamach lemateidan milei otam chochmat lev laasot kol melechet charash v'choshev Verokem batahelet uvagaman betolat hashani uvashes veoreg osei komelacha vechoshvei mahashavot.
All right, Julia, we're actually going to have you call up your second aliyah right now. You chanted it already, but we want to honor everyone with those blessings. So your parent, you can call up your second aliyah.
For my second aliyah, I call upon my mom, my dad, and my aunt Mara, and my grandma Bobe.
Baruch et Adonai HaMevorach.
Baruch Adonai HaMevorach leolam va'ed.
Baruch atah Adonai HaMevorach leolam va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bachar banu mikol ha'amim venatan lanu et torato. Baruch atah Adonai notein haTorah.
Amen. Julia, I want to go ahead and chant that second aliyah again. It was so beautiful.
Oh, okay. Amen. Uvacharoshet event lemalot uvacharoshet et laasot bechol melechet machashavet uchorot Natan belibo ve'acholiav ben Ahisamach lemateidan milei otam chochmat lev laasot kol melechet charash v'choshev verokem batahelet uvagaman betolat hashani uvashes veoreg osei kol melacha vechoshvei
mahashavot.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher natan lanu torat emet bechaye olam nata betochenu Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen. Beautifully done, Julia. So at this point, we're going to ask your family actually to sit back in their seats in the congregation, because this moment, Julia, is all yours. This is the moment where we call you up to the Torah for the very first time as a bat mitzvah for the aliyah. And it's so, so special. Some people say that this is the moment that you actually become bat mitzvah, because before this moment, you could not have said this blessing. And some people also say that this is the only thing you really need to do to become a bat mitzvah, is to say the blessing, or just turn 12 or 13. But of course, you've done so much more than that. When I look at your Hebrew name, it's got Sarah in it, Sarah. And Sarah, as we know, is the very first Jewish woman. And just like Sarah, you are an inspiration for Jews that will come and generations that will come after you, through your teachings, through all of the ways that you've prepared today. Because of the person that you are, we have hope in our future. We know that our future is in good hands because of you, because of the role model that you are. So we're going to call you now for the very first time as a bat mitzvah by your Hebrew name to the Torah. And as you can see, we are just filled with so much pride and joy to do so. Tamod, 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 ha-bat mitzvah, Sarah bat Chaim Berut. Baruch Adonai HaMevorach le'olam va'ed.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bahar banu mikol ha'amim v'natan lanu et torato. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen.
Ve'asa Betzalel ve'Aholiav ve'chol ish chacham lev asher natan Adonai chokhma utvuna bahema ladat la'asot et kol melechet avodat hakodesh lechol asher tziva Adonai. Vayikra Moshe el Betel ve'el Aholia ve'el kol ish hacham lev asher natan Adonai chokhma belibo kol asher natan libo lekorva el chamelecha ach la'asot ota. Vayikehu milivnei Moshe et kol hateruma asher heviu bnei Israel limlechet avodat hakodesh la'asot ota vehem eviu elav o nedava
Baboker, baboker. And your blessing after.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher natan lanu Torat emet v'chayei olam natan b'toheinu. Baruch atah Adonai notina Torah.
Amen. And we have all kinds of folks on Facebook commenting on your perfect chanting this morning, Julia. And at this time, we're going to ask you to roll that Torah scroll up just a little bit to give you some room to chant your Haftarah. So you're going to tell us what you're reading from the Haftarah, you're going to chant the blessing, and then you're going to read it. And also lift up that mic just a little bit so you don't have to bend over as you're chanting.
Okay.
There we go, much better.
The Haftarah for this week is taken from the book of Kings. I will be reading chapter 8, verses 17 through 21. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bahar b'nvi'im tovim v'ratza v'tivrehem hane'emarim be'emet. Baruch atah Adonai haboher b'torah uv'Moshe avdov uve'Israel amo uvivi'ei ha'emet v'tzedek. Vayhi im levav David avi livnot bait l'shem Adonai Elohei Yisrael. Vayomer Adonai el David avi yan asher haya im levavecha livnot bait l'shemi hetivota ki haya im levavecha. Rak ata lo tivne habayit ki im binha hayotze mechalatzecha hu yivne habayit lishemi. Vayakem Adonai et devaro asher diber va'akum tahat David avi va'eshev al kisei Yisrael kasher diber Adonai va'eveneh habayit l'shem Adonai Elohei Yisrael va'asim sham ma'akom la'aron asher sham berit Adonai asher karat im avotenu b'hotzio otam me'eretz Mitzrayim.
Absolutely amazing, Julia. And now that you have so beautifully chanted the Torah of our ancestors, we invite you to share with us your own words of Torah this morning.
In my Torah portion, Vaikil, Moses gathers the Israelite community to continue sharing the commandments God gave them at Mount Sinai. This Torah portion continues a description of the construction of the tabernacle. The text tells us that everyone whose spirit was moved brought offerings for God, everything from gold and silver to wool and linen. The men and women worked together to make this tabernacle for God. Amazingly, the Israelites brought so many gifts for the making of the tabernacle that they had to be restrained from bringing more. I think that the idea that the Israelites gave more than they were supposed to is very interesting. It shows that our ancestors value going above and beyond and caring for others just like I do. I think that the idea that the Israelites gave more, I think that it is always best to give your all and to do as much as you can because it can really benefit others and benefit yourself. Getting gifts is not the most important thing. In my opinion, giving gifts is more important and better than receiving gifts. It's an extraordinary feeling that warms your heart and makes you feel special, like you're on top of the world. Gifts need to come from the heart. No amount of money can have the same value as a gift that is well thought out and has a meaning. Let me give an example. On the day of my mom's birthday, I gave her a gift, a jar, but not just any jar. This jar had a special meaning. A few days before my mom's birthday, I dedicated my time to make her notes on small pieces of paper, quotes that would encourage her and make her happy throughout the day. Every day behind her back, I wrote her these notes so that I could ensure her happiness. I wanted to make her something that I knew she wouldn't, something I knew she would use, not some bracelet I knew she wouldn't wear or something else I knew she would never use. I wanted to make her something that could make her smile last a lifetime. On the day of her birthday, the time finally came. I went up to her and handed her the gift I made. As soon as I saw her face light up, mine lit up too. Her smile was contagious, and after just a few seconds, everyone was smiling. I felt amazing, like I had all the power in the world. That one smile that gift produced lifted me up for the rest of the day. One small gift can make someone's day as well as make yours. Life is not about receiving gifts. It's about giving to others, and trust me, that's the best gift you will ever get, especially when those gifts come fully from the heart.
Wow, 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 wow. Julia, when I asked your parents what your superpower was, they said that you are a perfectionist, you're a great student, you're a striver, you're curious. But I think that what all of us are taking away this morning from the beautiful words of your parents in blessing you this morning, and just from what you just said, those incredible words of Torah, is that you have an extraordinary empathy. You know how to make people feel good about themselves. Just like that extraordinary story that you shared about your mom and the gift that you gave her. You said that you wanted to give her a smile that would last a lifetime. And I have to say that you have given us all reason this morning to have smiles that are going to last a lifetime. You have a smile that truly is contagious. And I'm just seeing from so many people from around the world who are saying, including your family in Argentina, how incredibly proud we are of you. And in recognition of all that you have achieved this morning and all of your hard work, we're going to invite your family back up to our bima. And we're going to dance with these traditional words of congratulations. Simmin tov, mazel tov, mazel tov, simmin tov, simmin tov, mazel tov, mazel tov, simmin tov, mazel tov, mazel tov, simmin tov, yehelanu, 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 o lechol Yisrael, yehelanu, yehelanu, o lechol Yisrael, yehelanu, yehelanu, o lechol Yisrael, yehelanu, yehelanu, o lechol Yisrael. Now that was some well-deserved dancing. Julia and your family, we are going to invite you to return to your seats and remain standing as we begin to conclude our service. And as always, we conclude our service with thinking of those who are no longer with us in body, but who are eternally with us in spirit. And Julia, your family is thinking today and feeling the presence of your grandfathers, Gregorio and Julio, your grandmother, Teresa, and your uncle, Alejandro. The Central Synagogue community is mourning the passing in recent days of Cy Baum, husband of Judy, father of Andrew, Gary Fabian, Gerald Fengel, father of Cheryl, Brian, and Elisa, Pearl Hendler, mother of Susan Flom, Mark, Michelle, and Richard, Barbara Linhart, mother of Ted and Peter, Charles Lutke, stepfather of Peter Blum, Miriam Schaefer, mother of Leslie Perkins, Arlene Katisker Westreich, mother of Neil and Marjorie, and Renee Weiss, mother of Deborah Weiner, Jeffrey, and Cheryl. If you are in a period of Shiva this morning, we invite you to rise. Shloshim, we invite you to rise. Shana, we invite you to rise. Or if you're observing a yard site this Shabbat, we invite you to rise. Zichronam livracha, may their memories ever be for a blessing. We join together in the words of Mourner's Kaddish on page 294. Yitgadal v'yitgadash shemei rabbah, ve'alma divrach yirutei ve'amlich malchutei, b'chayechon u'vyomechon u'chayei d'chol beit Yisrael, ba'gala v'zman kariv v'imru amen. Yehei shmei rabbah mevarach le'olam olamei amaya, yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitba'ar v'yitramam v'yitnaseh, v'yitadar v'yitalev v'yitalal shemei kudusha brichu, Leila min kol birchata v'shirata, tushbechata v'nechamata, damiran be'alma v'imru amen. Yehei shlama rabba min shamaya, v'chayim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Oseh shalom b'mramav, hu ya'aseh shalom, aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen.
We will conclude now with one last song of joy, of celebration, and light as we wish Julia a hearty mazel tov to her and her family. Let's sing together La Yehudim. You can find that on your order of service. La Yehudim, Hay Ta'ura, Hay Ta'ura, B'simcha, B'sasu, B'ikar. Shabbat shalom and mazel tov.
Shabbat shalom, mazel tov, Julia.
In the blowing of the wind, we remember. In the opening of buds, we remember. We remember. In the blueness of the sky, we remember. In the rustling of the leaves, we remember. As the year starts and it ends, we remember. We remember. When we're weary and need strength, we remember. When we're lost and sick at heart, we remember. When we've joys we yearn to share, we remember. We remember. So long as we live, they too shall live. They are now a part of us. They are now a part of us. As we remember, we remember. We remember. We remember.
Those who sow in tears will reap in joy, will reap in joy. Those who sow in tears will reap in joy. Those who sow in tears will reap in joy, will reap in joy. Those who sow in tears will reap in joy. Those who sow in tears will reap in joy, will reap in joy. Those who sow in
Ozi b'zimrat yam vayehili Yeshua. Ozi b'zimrat yam vayehili
Shabbat Shalom. We are so thrilled that you are joining us on this beautiful, sunny, almost spring-like morning that we're having. I said to Lola on Thursday, our bat mitzvah girl, that she must bring good luck because this has been just a week of such glorious weather. You can feel the hope and the spring in the air. We want to take a moment this morning to wish a huge mazel tov to Lola Rubel and her family. Let's see if we can see her for a second. There she is. You can give us a wave. Who is becoming bat mitzvah this morning and who has just approached this whole experience with so much joy and resilience and love, and you are all in for a real treat. It is also wonderful to be joined by Lola's family and friends, as well as many in our congregation watching from around the country and around the world. We invite you to join in our prayers, to make this a participatory service this morning, to sing with us, to follow in our prayer book. If you are in the sanctuary, the prayer book was on your seat, and if you are following along with us, you can find the prayer book on Central Synagogue's live stream page. So we look forward to singing together, to praying together, and to really celebrating together with Lola and her family this morning. I am Rabbi Rebecca Rosenthal, and I'm joined on the bima by my colleague, Cantor Dan Mutlu, who will now lead us in our next prayer.
All right, we're going to continue with a prayer for our souls, Elohai Neshama. You can find that on page 78. Elohai, Elohai Neshama Shenatata bi Tehorai. Elohai, Elohai, Elohai Neshama Shenatata bi Tehorai. Ata merata, Ata yitzarta, Ata nefachta bi, Ve'ata meshamera, Meshamra bekirbi. Elohai, Elohai, Neshama, Shenatata bi. Continue our prayers with our call to worship on page 108. We'll ask you to rise at home or in the sanctuary with us. Barechu et Adonai HaMevorach.
Our service this morning is divided into a number of important themes, the first one being creation. And I realized I forgot to introduce you to some people who help us create this amazing service, namely our amazing musicians led by Dave Strickland, as well as our AV team who are helping us beam this service to you, along with our operations team who's helping us make everything run smoothly. So now, we are going to praise God's creation of our world in the middle of page 111. You can join if you would like. You are praised, who rolls out the rough, raw clay of the universe into delicate vessels of light. And from nothing at all, we could perceive in a world that has turned old a shimmering new creation right before our eyes, made this moment just for us. How much of life reveals your presence? How much Torah unfolds from each new flower and from each new wave that breaks upon the sea? You are praised, who forms from the clay that cloaks our lives, the delicate vessels which contain our light. Baruch atah Adonai, Yotzer HaMeorot.
Baruch atah Adonai, abocher b'amo Yisrael be'ahava. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto Leolam Va'ed. Ve'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha b'chol lebavcha u'b'chol nafshecha u'b'chol me'odecha. Ve'hayu adebarim ha'ele asher Anochi mitzavecha hayom al levavecha b'shinatam levanecha v'dibarta bam b'shivtecha b'beitecha u'b'lechtecha b'derech ובשוכבך ובקומך, וקשרתם להיות על ידיך, והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך, למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי, והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים, להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם. We're on page 122. We'll sing together our song of freedom, Mi Chamocha. Ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 ya la 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 la. Mi chamocha, mi chamocha ba'elim Adonai, mi chamocha nehena b'kodesh, Torah tehilloto sefer, Torah tehilloto sefer. Shira chadasha, shira chadasha, shivru geolim, לשמחה צפת הים, יחד כולם הודו, והמליכו ויאמרו, אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד, אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד.
We're going to take just a few moments now for silent prayer. We know that you are bringing into this room or into this Zoom room so much joy and love and pride and blessings. And we also know that some of you are coming in here with sadness or pain in your heart. And one of the blessings of being human is that we can hold both. So in this moment of silent prayer, I invite you to speak whatever words are in your heart. You can use the Siddur. We begin on page 124, or whatever words move you in this moment. We invite you to rise in body or in spirit for the silent Amidah.
Adonai sifatai tiftach ufi yagi tehilatecha. Adonai, open my lips, that my mouth may declare your praise. רצון, אמרי פי, והגיון ליבי לפניך. יהיו לרצון, אמרי פי, והגיון ליבי לפניך. אדוני צורי, אדוני צורי, אדוני צורי בגואלי. אדוני צורי, אדוני צורי, אדוני צורי בגואלי. יהיו לרצון אמרי פי, והגיון ליבי לפניך. יהיו לרצון אמרי פי, והגיון ליבי לפניך. אדוני צורי, אדוני צורי, אדוני צורי בגואלי. אדוני צורי, אדוני צורי, אדוני צורי בגואלי. אדוני צורי, אדוני צורי, אדוני צורי בגואלי. אדוני צורי, אדוני צורי, אדוני צורי בגואלי.
So now I'm going to invite Lola and her family up to the bima. And if you will bring your ritual object with you when you go up to the bima. We are going to begin now with our Torah service. Lola is going to chant Torah and Haftorah and share words of Torah with us. And she is going to begin this Torah service with an intro reading.
Torah shines forth from Zion. Adonai's teachings flow from Jerusalem. This scroll has nurtured our people from Sinai to today. It teaches us love and justice, hope and peace.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad, Echad Eloheinu, Gadol Adonenu, Kadosh Shemo. Gadlu Adonai iti, Uneromema Shemo Yachdav.
As you just heard from Lola, this Torah is incredibly special to our people. It has been passed down from the generation to generation to generation, all the way back to Mount Sinai. And Lola is so lucky that she gets to stand on the very same bima where her father became bar mitzvah just a few years ago, really continuing the generations of Judaism, of connection to Torah, and of Central Synagogue. So now we're going to ask Lola's parents to say a few words and pass down a ritual object of great meaning to their family.
Even though we are 5 years apart, it is without a doubt that I can call you my best friend. Your kindness and loyalty to everyone around you is something I truly admire about you. You have worked so hard for this day and deserve all that is coming for you. I love you.
Lola, you exceed all expectation. You have one of the kindest hearts out of anyone I know. I am constantly in awe by your consideration of others. You are always thinking of others before yourself, which for an almost 13-year-old girl is pretty remarkable. You have shown incredible bravery starting a new school this year in the middle of a pandemic, and although it has not been easy, you have really made the best of it. In a lot of ways, you remind me a lot of my younger sister, Lisa. Not only because both of you have a nervous laugh when someone hurts themselves, nor that you both have tough big sisters that love you so much, but because the two of you always strive to see the goodness in people. This is an amazing quality you both share. Lola, I love you with my whole heart, and I could not be prouder of you. It brings me so much joy to celebrate you today. This was the second best birthday present I ever got. The first birthday present that was amazing was when you were born, a week after my birthday on March 24th. So Mazel Tov, I love you.
Lola, I feel so blessed to call you my daughter. You look beautiful as always. It's hard to believe. I'm standing up here witnessing your rite of passage into adulthood. You're growing up way too fast. I guess it's true when they say time flies when you're having fun. That's when you know you're doing something right. What an amazing and emotional day for our family. A celebration we all have looked forward to and needed for sure. I couldn't be more proud of what you have accomplished today. The way you carry yourself, the sense of independence and maturity you display each and every day is truly impressive. You always seem to handle the realities of life with grace and ease. Nothing ever seems to faze you or knock you off balance. Your loving nature, whether it be with your family members or your friends, is infectious. As you always do, you persevered and came out on top today once again. I can't wait to see what the next chapter of your life brings. No doubt you will shine in whatever the future holds. I will be there for you every step of the way. This Kiddush cup symbolizes the different generations of our family. It's been passed down from my grandparents to your grandparents to Mom and I, and now we're passing it down to you. We have always stressed the importance of family, tradition, and being there for one another. Your accomplishment today represents a continuation of that family tradition, but more importantly, adds to the great memories we have shared as a family. Have the best time today, because it's all about you, and you deserve it. I love you.
My Torah portion is taken from Parshat Vayekel Pekudei from the book of Exodus, chapter 40, verses 28 to 38. For my first Aliyah, I call upon my dad, Andrew, mom, Michelle, and sister, Chloe.
Baruch Hu et Adonai HaMevorach.
Baruch Adonai Hamarach Leolam Vaed.
Baruch Adonai HaMevorach Leolam Vaed. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bachar banu mikol ha'amim v'natan lanu et Torato. Baruch atah Adonai notein haTorah.
Amen.
Amen. Vayasem et mesach ha'petah lamishkan ve'et mizbach ha'olah sam Petah Mishkan Ohel Moed Vayal Alav Et Haolav Et Hamicha Ka'asher Tziva Adonai Et Moshe Vayasem Et Hakiyor Ben Ohel Moed Uvein Hamizbeah Vayitain Shama Mayim L'Rochtzah.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher natan lanu Torah emet v'chayei olam natan b'tochenu. Baruch atah Adonai notein haTorah.
Amen.
For my second Aliyah, I call upon my aunt and uncle Lisa and Doug, my aunt and uncle Stacy and Nate, my grandma Nana, my aunt Mare, my grandpa Papa, and my cousin Zach.
Baruch Adonai Hamarach Leolam Vaed.
Baruch Adonai Hamarach Leolam Vaed. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bachar banu mikol ha'amim v'natan lanu et Torato. Baruch atah Adonai notein haTorah.
Amen.
V'rachatzu mimenu Moshe v'ha'aron uvanav et yedehem ve'et raglehem v'voam el ohel moed uvkarvatam el hamizbeach yirhatzu ka'asher tziva Adonai et Moshe v'yakem et hatzer saviv lamishkan v'lamizbeach vayitain et mesah shar hatzer Vayiha Moshe et hamalacha. Baruch et Adonai Hamavara.
Hold on, we have the blessing after, right?
Oh.
Hold on one second. You're good. You're eager. Who's doing the blessing after?
בחיי עולם תורנו, ברוך אתה אדוני, נותן התורה.
Amen. Wonderful. Well, Lola, we can tell that you are ready, and your moment has come. So here we are. We have heard you chant 2 aliyot beautifully and perfectly, and now it's time for your third one. And this third one is all yours, meaning that you get to say the blessing. We get to call you up to the Torah for the first time as a bat mitzvah. So to do that, I'm going to ask your family now to take their seats again in the sanctuary so that only you are up there, Lola, because as I said, this moment is all yours. Tradition says actually that when you become 12 or 13, you immediately become b'nai mitzvah. And maybe this is not a great time to tell you this after all the work and study that you put in. But the thing is, we know the kind of person that you are, that it wouldn't have been enough for you to just turn 12, turn 13 and say, I'm a bat mitzvah. We know that all the work that you put in, all of the effort, all of the care and thought came from a very special place, and you came from a very genuine place. And that's why we are so proud today to call you up to the Torah, because we know how important this is to you. When we call you up to the Torah, Lola, we call you up by your Hebrew name, and we acknowledge that you're not just you're not an island. You are connected to generations all the way back to Mount Sinai when this Torah was given to us. And in your name is Shoshana, which means rose, and we acknowledge today that you were named for your great-grandma Rose. And so when we call you up to the Torah today by your Hebrew name, you're bringing some of that goodness from your great-grandma Rose, some of her teaching, some of her wisdom to this moment as well. And that makes us even more proud of what you have done. So we call you up today now for the very first time as a bat mitzvah by your Hebrew name. Tamod, 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 habat mitzvah, Shoshana bat Avram v'Michal. And you can chant the blessing before.
Baruch Adonai Hamarach.
Baruch Adonai Hamarach le'olam va'ed.
Baruch Adonai Hamarach le'olam va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher bar habanu mikol ha'amim, v'natan lanu et Torato. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen.
Vayihas ha'anan et ohel moed, uvod Adonai maleh et hamishkan, v'lo yachol Moshe lavo el ohel moed, ki shahan alav ha'anan, uvod Adonai maleh et hamishkan, uv'alot ha'anan me'al hamishkan, yis'u b'nei Yisrael b'chol masehem. Lo ye'aleh ha'anan, v'lo yis'u ad yom ha'oloto. Ki anan Adonai al hamishkan yomam ve'esh tiyeh laila bo le'nei chol bet Yisrael b'chol masehem. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher natan lanu Torah emet, v'chayei olam natah b'tohenu. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen. Chazak, chazak, v'nitchazek. Chazak, chazak, v'nitchazek. Lola, you've given us strength from that beautiful reading, and you just ended a whole book of the Torah, which takes a great amount of strength. I know that Rabbi Rosenthal's thinking the same thing, and we're going to invite you now to introduce your Haftarah and start with the blessing.
Haftarah for this week is taken from the book of Kings. I'll be reading from chapter 7, verse 51 through chapter 8, verse 2. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher bahar binvi'im tovim v'ratzah v'divrahem hana'emarim be'emet. Baruch atah Adonai Haboher b'Torah u'Moshe avdo u'Yisrael amo u'Vinvi'ei ha'emet v'tzedek.
Amen.
ותשלם כל המלאכה אשר עשה המלך שלמה בית אדוני, ויבא שלמה את קודשי דוד אבי. את הכסף ואת הזהב ואת הכלים נתן ביותרות בית אדוני. אז יקל שלמה את זקני ישראל, את כל ראשי המטות, נשיאי האבות, לבני ישראל, אל המלך שלמה ירושלים להעלות את ארון ברית אדוני מעיר דוד היא ציון. ויקהלו אל המלך שלמה כל איש ישראל בירח העתנים בחג הוא חודש השביעי.
Lola, that was a beautiful chanting of the Torah and the Haftorah of our tradition. And now we look forward to hearing your words and your interpretation of the Torah.
Shalom. My Torah portion discusses the construction of the tabernacle for the presence of the Eternal. Moses began to make all the preparations to welcome God and listen to God's instructions. Once God had noticed that Moses had finished all the necessary work, God entered the tent of meeting, and a cloud descended over the tent. All the Israelites congregated to pray with God, who remained in the tabernacle, and they stayed until the cloud lifted. Shortly after, the Israelites would continue on with their personal journeys, and they felt fulfilled that they remained one with God as He continuously watched over them. In my Torah portion, I was interested in the last section, which discussed God's relationship with the Israelites. It is very comforting to know that the Israelites can go to the tabernacle and feel God's presence within them and throughout their lives. In my Torah portion, it seems like the Israelites have a very clear path to follow God. My question was, how can we, when God isn't speaking to us out of a cloud, learn to follow God and do the right thing in the world? The rabbis teach us that we find the path by figuring out what God does and trying to do that. Just as God does things like bury the dead, clothe the naked, visit the sick, we should do that too, because that's how we follow God. God isn't necessarily telling us directly to do these kinds of good deeds, but we should do them because it is the right thing to do. We figure out what God wants from us by following what God does and not only what God says. Growing up, I learned right from wrong through everyday challenges. Whether it is a difficult homework assignment or a hard test, my teachers are there to help guide me through it. I learn a lot from my teachers who help me succeed and educate me on the world we live in. This guides me through making decisions through my own journey in life. In addition to school, my family's guidance is very important to me. Being the youngest in my family, my mom, dad, and sister all serve as big role models in my life and are able to teach me right from wrong and guide me as I grow up. As I'm guided by these people, I still feel God's presence when I receive good or bad outcomes. When something good happens to me, I feel that God is in my favor. On the other hand, when something bad happens, I'm upset, but I'm still hopeful that God will help me get through it. For example, about 3.5 years ago, I faced a very hard challenge. My grandmother, Nana, passed away. I was hurt and cannot imagine my life without her moving forward. At that time, I felt that God helped me when I was struggling and upset. He helped me get through the harder times and remember the good times. God helped remind me how many qualities of Nana I carry on with me in my life moving forward. Even when I do not directly feel that God is with me, there are always important people to guide me by reflecting upon what God has taught them. Even if God doesn't speak to us directly out of a cloud, there are always people to turn to in order to help send us on the right path.
Yasher Koach, Lola, and now I'm going to invite some of those people who love you to join you back on the bima, your parents and your sister. Working with you to help you prepare for this day has been a total joy. When you come on the screen or when I get to see you in person, even behind the mask, I can see how much joy you bring to this process. And in talking to you and talking to your parents, you have taken every change, every challenge with just so much grace and resilience and joy, really understanding what is important in this moment, which is that you get to be here with your family, with the family that's joining you in person and from around the country, and you have brought your whole self to this moment of becoming a bat mitzvah. We could not be prouder of you, and I know that everyone watching here today feels the same way. And so we wish you mazel tov, and we are going to sing and dance and celebrate with you with Siman Tov or Mazel Tov.
Siman Tov, Mazel Tov, Mazel Tov, Siman Tov, Siman Tov, Mazel Tov, Mazel Tov, Siman Tov, Siman Tov, Mazel Tov, Mazel Tov, Siman Tov, Yehelanu, 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 Olechol Yisrael, Yehelanu, Yehelanu, Olechol Yisrael.
I invite you and your family to go back to your seats, and we will conclude our service with Aleinu on page 282.
עלינו לשבח לדון הכל, לתת גדולה ליוצר ראשית, שלא עשנו כגויי הארצות, ולא שמנו כמשפחות האדמה, שלא שם חלקנו כהם, וגורלנו ככל המונם. ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא. ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ ביום ההוא, ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד, ושמו
Even and sometimes especially in moments of great joy, we also pause to remember those who are no longer with us. I know there are those who Lola and her family are remembering today, as well as members of our Central Synagogue community who have died in the last 30 days. We remember Cy Baum, husband of Judy, father of Andrew, Gary Fabian, Gerald Fengel, father of Cheryl, Brian, and Elisa, Pearl Hendler, mother of Susan Flaum, Mark, Michelle, and Richard, Barbara Linhart, mother of Ted and Peter, Charles Lutke, stepfather of Peter Blum, Miriam Schaefer, mother of Leslie Perkins, Arlene Katisker Westreich, mother of Neil and Margie, Renee Weiss, mother of Deborah Wiener, Jeffrey, and Cheryl. If you are in the first 7 days in the period of Shiva mourning a loved one, we invite you to rise. If you are in the first 30 days in Shloshim of mourning a loved one, we invite you to rise. If you are in the first year of mourning a loved one, we invite you to rise. And if you are marking a yahrzeit, the anniversary of a death, we invite you to rise in body or in spirit. If you are joining us and if you are able, we invite everyone to please rise for the Mourner's Kaddish on page 294. Yitkadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabbah, ve'alma divrach yirutei v'yamlich malchutei, v'chayechon u'yomechon u'chayei dechol Beit Yisrael, ba'gala u'bizman kariv v'yimru Amen. Yehi Shmei Rabbah Mivarach Le'olam U'Lamei Almaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh v'yitadar v'yitalev v'yitalal shmei d'kudsha brichu Leila min kol birchata v'shirata tushbechata v'nechamata damiran ve'alma v'imru amen Yehi shlama rabba min shemaya v'chaim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen Oseh shalom b'imromav hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen.
We'll conclude with one last song of celebration, a song of joy and light as we wish a mazel tov to Lola and her family. We'll sing together La Yehudim in your order of service. La Yehudim, Hay Tahora, Hay Tahora, B'simcha, B'sason, B'kar. Shabbat shalom and mazel tov.
Shabbat shalom, mazel tov.